Good afternoon. I just wanted to share a little bit about this project with you because I've never worked on anything quite like it before, and it's been really interesting so far, so I thought that perhaps you might find it interesting as well. The project, as Jen mentioned, is the Redesigning Drupal.org. So our client essentially is the Drupal community, which is quite large. Have we got any members of the Drupal community with us today? Yeah, there's a few. I'm working with the guys at Mark Bolton Design and the Leisa Reichelt in Wales on this. So this is Drupal.org, or D.O, as they call it in Drupal community land, as it currently stands. And I'm not sure what you make of it. You can't really judge a website just by looking at it. Of course you can, but the real truth is in using it. People who look at it and who use it generally agree that it's kind of fairly broken. If you don't know what Drupal is, it's an open source content management system essentially. They talk a lot about social publishing and there are a lot of kind of social aspects to it. A lot of people run blogs on it. It started as all good open source projects do as a bit of a hobby in 2001. And these days there's tens of thousands of installations of Drupal running around the world. Some of the companies and organizations that use Drupal are listed here. So, it goes from kind of virtually anybody who just wants to get a blog set up through to people like World Bank, believe it or not. Drupal.org is a fairly busy place. These are some of the statistics that they gave us when we were pitching for the work. It's right up there in terms of one of the sort of most busy sites that you find. It's got 300,000 plus users, 300 users a day, 375,000 discussion threads, and what I think is really interesting, a really great response rate to some of the sort of important conversations that are happening there, general discussions and developer discussions. The community is really actively engaged in talking both to each other and to new people who are coming on board in the community. So this is the first time that Drupal have actually engaged a commercial firm to do any sort of real work at all to do with their product. So it's the first time that they've ever actually worked with a commercial design firm. And it's the first time that I've worked with open source community quite like this before as well. So it really begs the question, how do you go about redesigning a site where so many people live and that they really kind of consider to be their own? Traditional approaches to design are not really going to work so well in this environment. How do you design in an open source way? So typical commercial design processes are very closed, very secretive. You beaver away and come up with fantastic design, and there's this big thing around the launch. Ta-da, look at our amazing new design. Again, there's no one, well, it'd be mad enough to take that kind of approach and go, ta-da, to the Drupal community. First of all, because it would be pretty much impossible for us to get it right. And second of all, imagine if you had no say at all in the redesign of your new home. You feel absolutely no connection to it at all. So we really had to come up with a way to design by community and with community, and that's the challenge that we've been kind of taking on board over the last month or so. It all started pretty much with this little form, which is just a survey form that we put together using Google Apps. Within the space of about a week, we had more than 1,000 people filling out this little form, the idea of which was to say, I'm really interested in being involved in this, like, come and get back to me, if you want me to help out with research as we go through. We posted this all over the place on the Drupal site, as well as on my blog and Mark Bolton's blog and various other places. Really trying to get both people within the Drupal organisation and those other elusive people, those people who might potentially be interested in Drupal but really don't know very much about it, or maybe have had a bad experience with it in the past. We've been doing lots of blogging, so I blog regularly about the work that I'm doing, which is really, really unusual. Usually I'm not allowed to blog about the design work that I'm doing at all. Here I can actually blog and say, oh, I'm thinking this approach or that approach, I'm not really sure, what do you think? And I get lots of feedback, both from the Drupal community and also just from the design and user experience community, which is what I'm a part of, giving me their thoughts about what the potential repercussions might be of one approach or the other, which is it's actually a really lovely way to work. Mark has been doing a really similar thing in some of the more visual design aspects that he's working on. There's a sort of existing infrastructure in place as well, so D.O has groups.D.O
And within that, there's a group that's specifically looking at the 2.0 redesign project. And so we're always trying to engage the people who have got a history in thinking about this project as we're moving forward as well. Some of the interesting things that we've been doing, they're just kind of new ideas. We don't know when we do them whether or not they're going to be good or bad ideas. This one was to crowdsource wireframing. So wireframing is one of the very early phases of design where you're basically just sketching out what might go on the page. And typically a designer does that. In this case, what we did was set up a Flickr group and ask anybody who wanted to at all to start wireframing pages that they thought were important within Drupal.org. We got lots and lots of information back from people who had various kind of opinions on things, and these were people who were much more expert, who used these sites and these systems every day, and had a much greater knowledge and insight into it than what we would be able to get in the short time that we have available. And that's been very useful so far, particularly on the more complex and also really important sections of the site. Another thing that we did was an online card sort. Any information architects in the house would be interested to know that we got about 70 full card sorts done in the space of 2 days, which is an extraordinary amount of data from which to start basing your information architecture, understanding what sort of language, terminology the people that you're designing for are using. We've been using Twitter quite a bit as well, so part of our challenge is to try and let as many people know that this project is actually going on. We don't want to just talk to a really small, tight, insular community. We want to let lots of people know. So we're always monitoring the Drupal keyword to see people talking about Drupal, and we have a little Drupal account, and we follow them, which is always a bit of a surprise for them. Not often a surprise for them to get followed by the Drupal redesign after they sometimes have a bit of a moan about Drupal. And that's just a really lightweight way to say, there's this thing going on if you're interested, come and find out more, come and get involved. It's also a great way for us to just communicate lightly out to the community what we're doing, and if there's something that we're thinking about or we're interested in, or if we're here looking for people to talk to, that kind of thing. The latest thing that we're trying to do, that we're trying out, is to crowdsource usability testing. So we're taking a kind of agile, probably we should just say an iterative approach to this. So developing prototypes, releasing them on a regular basis, and trying to get people's feedback on that really often. I'm doing a lot of the usability testing myself. I'm doing a bunch this afternoon, as it happens. But I'm just one person, and I'm in one spot in the UK. So what I'm trying to do is to get people all around the world who are interested in Drupal and or usability testing to get involved and actually help us test the prototype and to give us more and more feedback so we can get more information to really try to make sure that we're doing as good a job of this as we can. But also because our tenure on this project is fairly small, part of what we want to do is a bit of a skills transfer to help people within the community understand what designers do, what user experience people are interested in, sort of tools and techniques that we have. And so we have a little wiki that we're putting together in its very early stages, as you can see, which is about knowledge sharing and trying to empower people to get involved in these kind of activities that they might not necessarily have thought about doing in the past. This is just the state of our prototype at the moment. So this is the prototype that's available pretty much for anybody to go and have a bit of a play with and to give us feedback on. Generally speaking, people think we're completely nuts for approaching things in this way. The general approach that you have with project management and design is to think you only want a certain amount of information. With too much information, how on earth are you ever going to process it all? What are you going to do with 200,000 opinions? There's this thing about designing by committee is a bit of a nightmare. If you've got 12 people sitting around a table with a whole bunch of opinions, that's an incredibly difficult environment to design in. But the funny thing about scale is that if you've got 12,000 opinions, you don't have to respond to every single one of those opinions. And all of a sudden what you're looking for is the themes. You're looking for general themes to emerge and for unexpected things. And you need to just feedback generally to the community that you're listening and that you're engaged and that you're paying attention to show that what they're saying is being reflected in the prototype works as they go from iteration to iteration. But it's actually proving so far, touch wood, to be a really pleasant and productive and useful way to design. This is a little sneak preview. If you remember back to the very first page that you saw, this is the iteration that's going to be released tomorrow to the community, which which is that got some sort of visual design added to it. Don't put this on Flick again. Or do, doesn't matter. We're very open about these things. So hopefully you can kind of get a sense there that it has actually moved forward quite a bit since we started working on this project, probably only about 8 weeks ago, I think, and with the involvement of thousands and thousands of people along the way. So on that note, if you are interested either in how on earth a project like this works and what it's like to be part of it, or in Drupal and helping Drupal have a nicer place to live, then please do get involved. Thank you.